everybody, it's Romania Black, and I can't believe we're already watching some more Moriarty the Patriot. It has been too long. I finished up Moriarty the Patriot back in the spring, and I was really sad because I was like, I really liked Moriarty the Patriot. It was a lot of fun. I was like, man, I don't have anything else to watch with that. And then someone had said they were going to make some OVAs, and I was like, oh, that'll be exciting. Yay. And so I have been patiently waiting since April for these OVAs to come out, and they never were anywhere. Like, nobody was streaming them. I was like, what is happening? And so finally, fellow patron Wushin Sweebian noted that they had found where there had been on Tumblr and Twitter some translations of the OVAs floating around. So thank you, Wushin Sweebian, for sharing those from @Herder47 and Kanas Musings. So Kanas Musings, please go support them on Twitter and Tumblr and thank them for doing the translations. Kanas Musings at Tumblr, thank you, because I have been so excited to watch more Moriarty the Patriot. I've bought like 8 of the volumes of the manga. I just haven't gotten around to reading them yet. I'm reading a lot of manga on my channel right now. I'm reading Yoda the Dawn. I'm reading Ace of the Diamond. I just got done catching up with Seraph of the End. I've been reading a lot of manga, and so it's taken up a lot of time, and I just haven't had the chance to dive into Moriarty the Patriot. So that's my goal this fall, is to start reading the manga and figuring out, am I going to react to the manga? Am I going to just talk about it? I'm still working out the kinks with that, but I have the volume, so I might as well use them, right? So I'll hopefully be getting more into that this fall, but I'm so excited that the OVAs are out. And there's 2 of them. It's like, we don't just get 1, we get 2. So we're going to do 1 week at a time, OVA 1, and then next week I'll watch OVA 2. I'm assuming they're probably going to be connected. They're probably going to be a 2-parter, and I'm going to want to watch part 2 immediately, but what can we do, right? But I have missed our boys. I have missed SherLiam. I have missed that ship so much. I need it. So I need some Sherlock and Moriarty love. So I'm pretty excited about that. But I don't know what to expect. Like I said, these are just OVAs. So I don't know. I don't know if they are going to be, if it's content that the manga was going to cover or has covered, or if it's completely anime only, anime original. That I don't know. I would like to imagine that this is based off the manga, because you've got so much manga content that's not been animated yet. Why wouldn't you, right? Why would you have an anime only OVA when it's ripe with manga content you can pull from? So I would imagine that's the case, but we shall see. So I'm excited. So again, thank you, Kanos Musings. Thank you for the translation. Thank you, Wushin Sweebian, for sending me the links and the files that I could download. So I hope y'all enjoy this reaction and discussion. But we're going to watch the first OVA and just see what happens, right? So we are going to start Moriarty the Patriot. It feels so good to say it. We're going to start Moriarty the Patriot, OVA number 1. And we are going to do that here in 3, 2, 1, and let's go. Ooh, you know what, Moriarty the Patriot, it hits just the right amount of fan service. It's just the right amount of fan service. Oh, that ending shot, that ending with Sherlock with his hair down and his little curly hair and him. And as soon as we had Lewis and Moriarty in the bath, I was like, are we going to get some Sherlock next to Moriarty in the baths fan service? And did not disappoint. Did not disappoint. I'm here for it. I'm here for it. This was really cute. I liked that. It went a few different directions I didn't expect it to. And I was like, oh, look at that. That's nice. The animation was great. The animation, especially the opening with the flowers and lilies. I like that in this OVA, they tie back to something that's pretty integral to the entire series, which is the representation of the white lily. And we see it in the OP. We see it throughout the series. It is like the flower that represents Moriarty himself. And then, of course, they have to be on the nose at the very end and be like, oh, it's the flower that is shining and pure in the slums that can give hope for people that move forward. It's like, yes, 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 we get it. But I like that they tied something that's so connected to the entire series into this OVA. That was really nice. I liked that a lot. I figured that the one thing about Moriarty the Patriot is that there are twists and turns, but for the most part, much like a Sherlock tale, much like its predecessor and its source material, the mysteries of Sherlock, they're not drag out like twists and turns that you don't see coming. The thing about Sherlock is you can kind of figure it out as you go along. It's just you don't always know all the details, and you have to kind of figure out what some of it means. And there's gonna be twists and turns, but it's never something that's like downright shocking. Like, I didn't see that coming. Like the idea that the painter died of lead poisoning. As soon as you see a lead bottle in anything, you're like, somebody's gonna die of lead poisoning. It's like as soon as you see a covered wagon, it's like somebody's gonna die of dysentery. It's bound to happen. But I was sad we didn't see Moran. Was pretty sad we didn't get to see Moran in all this, but that's okay. So I'm glad that we have our little our happy outing with our Moriarty brothers here. I'm trying to remember what that newspaper said. It said the Royal Military College sports at something, and then there's the Bridie Observers. That's the name of the paper. Interesting. I like that Albert was just there the whole time at the beginning. Albert's just sitting there drinking tea and watching Moriarty and Lewis have this conversation. It's great. I do respect this series for printing that entire paper in English. We do our little close-up here. That was not easy. But yeah, so the idea of the painting in Bath being vandalized. At first, I was a little confused because I thought that it was the artist that had vandalized his own painting like we see at the beginning. But that vandalism was like the entire painting. This was just the little part of it, right? Was not the entire thing. I like that we have the whole thing in Bath, though. That's good. But yeah, the fact that Moriarty recognized the flowers, and it was like that art style. It was something that he connected to his youth, to that memory he had, and it just happened to be Stanley. Fun times. And so yeah, the whole thing of Count Cubit. You know what's great about this OVA that I really kind of love? And that's the fact that Count Cubit wasn't an awful noble. He wasn't. He was actually a nice guy. Because this series, does a thing where this series has the nobles usually be like really slimy and awful. And for the longest time I thought, oh, okay, well, Count Cubit, he's been using the Stanley guy. He used him as a painter. He took advantage of him. And then if he died, maybe he's connected to his death. But no, it's like they're like a couple. They liked each other. It was like, and we'll talk more about that because it's Moriarty the Patriot, and I demand BL to be inserted into this series, whether it likes it or not. I am sad we did not get Mycroft. Was expecting Mycroft with Albert, but it's all right. Albert, God, them green eyes. When they catch the Murray guy, the art dealer, his eyes are so green. I love it. I love it so much. It's like just as green as Albert's eyes are, Moriarty's are just like blood red. Like it's just the color, the saturation of it all. So we go to the place where they're having the postal delivery at the gallery and everything. And there's old Flock. There's the redhead guy that's just kind of hanging out with Lewis here and giving them the what for. And they're looking at all the paintings. It's a gallery. It's not a postal service. But they're looking at all the different original paintings. And the sad thing is that it just goes to show, like, I don't get, like, I like going to art galleries and looking at different art pieces. But it's so sad because art is so subjective. And the sad thing is that these paintings are beautiful, but nobody cared about them when it was just Stanley. But you put a wealthy person's name on it, and suddenly everybody's all about it. It's like, it's kind of like celebrities now. Like, I don't really get into anything celebrity endorsed at all because I'm like, case in point. It's like, wow, that lip gloss is only cool because there's somebody's name attached to it. Okay. It's one of those situations, right? And so I feel for poor Stanley because he had these beautiful art pieces he wanted to show the world, and nobody was giving him the time of day until Cubit put his name on them. We'll talk about that when we get to it. But I get the impression that Moriarty is like looking at this art gallery. Moriarty would like an art gallery tour. He seems like he'd have fun in the Louvre. Just go around looking at artwork. Lewis does not seem as enamored by art. He's just kind of like, okay, brother, if you say so, sort of situation. But anyway, so we get to, I wanted to kind of go back and see if we saw the kid, if it was noticeable. And so we have the guy going there needing something to get mailed. He wants to look around first. And then we have this kid. You knew this kid was going to be a main character because he has funky hair. He has very distinct, memorable hair. So you know that he's going to be a main character. He's just drawn that way, right? So I want to see if we noticed it from his sleeve. And you barely notice it. So yeah, like Moriarty caught on, but barely noticed it. And it'll come back later. They frame it at the end like, oh, did you catch that? Didn't you catch that from the start? But you wouldn't have known at the time watching this. So even from back at the beginning of this, Moriarty had already figured it out that something was up. Interesting. I do like that we get a nice little if you're doing like the female gaze, you have all the ladies are wearing like their bathing suits and everything in the bathhouse. They're wearing like their bathing suits and like their clothing attire and everything, and the guys are all walking around shirtless. I'm here for it. I'm here for this time period accuracy. I just want to know when William and Lewis had time to get these washboard abs. like they got like Lewis is a little bit more frailer, which makes sense for his physique, but Moriarty's got some damn biceps. I'm like, when were you working out? When did you have time? I just love too that of all places and of all times and just like of all people to notice, Sherlock sniffed William out and just saw him from a mile away. I absolutely love it. I love that he instantly like was able to narrow down, know it was him. And he's like, Stanley was his name. The artist I met in the slums was Stanley, not Cubit. And so at that point, the moment that we met Cubit, I was like, oh, well, he's not the artist. This guy is. This thin guy using the fine lead-based paint is our artist. And then I love, he's like, hello, Liam. And then everybody's like, what? And he's just looking down there. It's you, isn't it? I love Lewis's face. Lewis is like, oh my God, he found us. Sherlock's like, when we come down, join? I love when we cut to Lewis's face and he just looks so unhappy. He's just like, so unhappy to see Sherlock. I'm like, Lewis, just, you know Sherlock loves your brother. He only wants the best things for him. Just let it go. Just let it go. And Watson's just like, hey, like everything's fine. I love that Lewis gives Sherlock the look of just like, and then Moriarty gives Watson the look like, could you go somewhere else? But yeah, so these two, and then of course Sherlock is like, yeah, I got put on this case to go find him. God, the Murray thing is great. I did not even think about Murray being the secret bad guy until the very end. I completely forgot about Murray. Totally forgot about him. Forgot about the connection to the ship and Albert. Didn't even think about any of that. But I love the landlady. I feel so bad now. Her mind, I'm going blank. Oh my God, what is her name? Miss Hudson. Thank you, Watson. I was like, my mind was going blank. Mrs. Hudson. I love that she just like looks in the crack of the door like, you better take that money. I love, and they have the scream, like the screech of the woman, and Sherlock and Watson's expressions are wonderful. They're just both like, yeah, we had to take the case because we really didn't have a choice. Mrs. Hudson really wants us to take this case. Amazing. So yeah, completely forgot about Murray. Didn't even think about him. When Liam went to go shake Cubit's hand, it's like he's checking to see if he's an artist. He's checking to see. I didn't think about the calluses, but I checked to see if like maybe he could tell by his hand if he was the artist or not. And then, but yeah, and Sherlock notices. I like that in this episode and within Moriarty the Patriot in general, most of the time, little tiny gestures, tiny micro expressions, tiny little nods that the characters will do. They will point out whether a character knows something or not that the other character's doing. And then by the end of the episode, it'll all come back and reveal that, which is a lot of fun. But man, Cubit. And Cubit, like I said, I like that Cubit, who was donating all these to charity, I like that Cubit did not know that Murray was shortchanging them and taking, like, skimming the surface and skimming the profits. I like that Cubit ends up being a nice person. He genuinely is a good guy. I was afraid that they were going to have, like, Cubit, like, he betrayed Stanley and led to his death. I thought it was going that route, but the fact that we find out that Cubit had really nothing to do with it, he was just trying to be a friend. That makes this all the sadder because on the one hand, I can see somebody arguing and be like, well, Cubit kind of, and I love they had little atelier, like the little house that they had, the little house that they had together where his paintings were. I could see somebody in the comments saying that, you know, well, technically Cubit was kind of keeping him painting, which was keeping the lead poisoning going. So it kind of is Cubit's fault he's dead. But at the same time, I don't think that would have made a difference. I think Stanley loved painting and was going to do it anyway. he got Cubit to sign his name off on the painting so he could keep making them. So I think regardless of Cubit or not, he would have kept painting and eventually he would have died of lead poisoning either way. It's just here he got to do it for someone he cared about and for a cause, for charity, and in the comfort of his own like atelier where he could do that, right? So, of course, anytime there's lead, it's like, well, that's how that person died. But I love the progression of the sketchbook where you can see the lilies getting like fuzzier and then realizing that the sketches get worse and worse. Like you can just tell it's him like deteriorating. Yep. And the fact that Cubit tried to hide it. I love even the glances that like Moriarty and Sherlock give in all this. The glances are so good because they're so knowing. They're just looking at each other like, we know what's up. And so they narrow down that it's a left-handed person, rather short, which immediately was like, it's the kid. The kid. So it's like, okay, the kid was the vandal, but why? And then you find out that the kid liked Stanley and admired him and realized that he was painting for Cubit and that it was all kind of a phony and he wanted to get, but this kid like whipped out the knife real quick. Like Moriarty having them meet up and then the kid whips out the switchblade and Cubit's like, what the hell? This little murder child, like Moriarty, he knows how to find him. That is for sure. And so then at the time, Stanley was pointing out what the broker was doing and trying to reveal the numbers used for the crime. And so, yeah, I do like that Moriarty asks Lewis to forgive him for engaging in his whims and having this favor. And then, of course, we see all the arms deal and stuff. So that's what the boat was. I was like, why are we getting this brief shot of the boat with the arms dealings? But it was, Albert was trying to catch him and it was to get Murray caught. All makes sense now. And so then, yeah, this murder child, he's like, you tricked Mr. Stanley. So you have the money and the fame, you got rid of him. And Cubit's like, that's not at all what the case is, kid. I loved him. It's like, oh, shit. And then, yeah, so Moriarty, for the record, telling the kid you should never dirty your hands with blood, pot calling the kettle black, but I'm glad that Moriarty is trying to keep a child from becoming a murderer, like he is. I'm glad that Moriarty is trying to take some responsibility and keep that kid from becoming a full-on murder of Cubit there. Oh. Turn my sound down. And so, yeah, then we see the kid pulled his sleeve up. And of course, yeah, you wouldn't have been able to tell unless you would have seen that close up. It's a nice little reveal there. He's like, I figured out right then and there. And this kid's like, what do you want from me? And so then he's like, my friend died from lead poisoning. And Sherlock shows up to help. And it's like his sketchbook was a testament to his symptoms. And so, and so Cubit feels bad because he's like, if I had told him to stop, I wouldn't have had to see my dear friend suffer. So let's just throw this out there that Cubit and Stanley, they were dear friends. No, they were totally, it's love, damn it. This series gave us this couple. It was love, darn it. No, I will not be convinced they were just dear friends. No. Because he like, okay, first of all, dear friends, I have many dear friends. I don't go at midnight to check on them in their atelier I made for them in my secret West Wing. I don't go check on them at all hours of the night. And clearly he was going to like have a rendezvous with him in painting and to have some late night conversations and then saw that he was suffering and just wasn't good. And he's like, your friend? I love that it looks like your friend. He came from a family of stable hands who worked for us back in London. Did anybody else, if you've watched Skate the Infinity, did anybody else get like Adam Tadashi vibes from this whole thing, from this backstory? I got Adam Tadashi vibes, for sure. We were close in age, but my parents forbid me from talking to the commoners. I'm like, it's Adam and Tadashi. That's literally their relationship. Except instead of a gardener, he's a hired hand in the stables. A stable boy who's so freaking cute. And he's like, I stumbled upon him sketching one day and have been a fan of him since. Like, he had blush! He had blush in his cheeks! He was like, no! He's like, we became close friends. Yep. And then on a first name basis, old George and Alan, Stanley, and George Cubitt. Commoners like me can freely choose to pursue in life if we had the means to. And so that's kind of the irony of it, is he's like, I'm a commoner, but if I had the means, I could choose to do whatever I wanted to with my life. And Cubitt kind of helps him do that. He's like, well, you love to paint, so you just paint for me, and you can do what you love and be free to do so and not be bound by any societal restrictions. He's like, it's just wishful thinking. He's like, that's not true. It's like, your paintings are wonderful, Alan. Like, just shut up. You'll go far in life. He's like, what? Like, just these two. Just kiss, damn it. He's like, sadly, his paintings never garnered that much attention, which is a crime because they're gorgeous. And then, okay. All right. If you wanted to say they were just close friends, I'll hear you out. Yeah, sure. Just on a first name basis. Close friends, talking about each other's aspirations and dreams and how they can help them get along with that. That's great. But I don't know what close friends by candlelight meet and discuss these said futures, like in this scene. But I love the idea that Stanley's like, put your name on the paintings. He's like, what? What are you saying? He's like, they don't sell because they were made by a commoner like me. I'm like, but the height difference! There's even the height difference between them! I want a BL spin-off series of Cubitt and Stanley. I want to all hear about their escapades. Their late night conversations by candlelight while Stanley paints and Cubitt brings him tea. Is there a fanfic tag for them? Cubitt and Stanley better have some AO3 tags going right now, because I need more of these two. If you're not going to give me SherLiam, then give me these two. Give me Cubitt and Stanley. I'm thinking of Stanley Kubrick, but yeah. I wouldn't mind being your ghost painter as long as you promised to use the money to help the poor. How is that not romance? I don't know. I just, going off on a tangent, a BL tangent about these two. But it's so romantic, damn it. He says, promise me. He's like, Alan. I'm gush about these two. And then when he's going to shake his hand, and Alan has, like, you can see the blisters on his fingers and his calloused hands, and Cubitt's fair, pale skin, and he's like, I don't know, because you know that Cubitt's like, I don't know if I want to drag you into this because I'll be taking credit for your work. And he, like, hesitates to grab it, and then Stanley grabs the hand. It's love, damn it. Oh my god. Yeah, and brings it towards him. I returned to my hometown so we could begin my life. So we could begin my life as a painter. I'm gonna get down off the BL rabbit hole now. I've gone on like a 10-minute tangent about Stanley and Cubitt. But it's love, damn it. I love it. And that kid goes to run off and he like slices at Cubitt's hand, and Cubitt's like, Stanley wouldn't want you to become a murderer. It's like, I really am hoping after I get done recording this, I am going to go look and see if there's any fan fiction for Stanley and Cubitt. It's great. It's great. And yeah, he took the letter opener with him. But yeah. So I'm glad they catch Murray. Murray's the one at fault. And Cubitt's a nice guy. And he helps, him and Luke, the little kid, are going to remember Stanley together. It's really adorable. And they arrest Murray, as they should. I love the close-up of Albert and his eyes, where his eyes are just so green. It's so saturated and luscious. It's wonderful. I would have done with some more Albert and maybe Mycroft in this one, but maybe in the next OVA. Maybe in the next one. It's great. Wonderful. So then, yeah. And then we have our beautiful boys. Our beautiful boys in the bath. I love that Watson's just like, oh, this bath is great. And Lewis is like leaning over and looking at them together. It's great. And then Sherlock with his hair down. Who would have thought that an aristocrat such as yourself would be friends with an artist from the slums? Oh, Sherlock, if only you knew. If only you knew. And Sherlock being all buff too. Did you really know Stanley? And then we get the call back to the flower and everything, and his big, beautiful eyes just shimmering. Stanley, you idealist man, you don't know what you've done to shape Moriarty the way that you have. So cute. I love it. It's great. And then Moriarty looks so soft there. Liam, like just thinking about Stanley, he looks so soft. I'm sad that Stanley died. Why can't we have nice things? But yeah, it's great. And then Sherlock just being, I love Sherlock's like, the way that he looks over at Liam. The way that he looks at him. This is a great OVA. I went down a BL rabbit hole for a solid 10 minutes, so hopefully y'all were okay with that. To be honest, it's been a while since I could gush in a BL fashion about anything, so I needed this. I needed this so much. But yeah, this was wonderful. I liked this OVA a lot. Short, sweet, concise, to the point. Lots of fan service. Got a BL secret subplot. I'm here for it, Moriarty the Patriot. You did it. You did it. So next week, there's a second OVA. We're not done with Moriarty the Patriot. There's a second one. And next week, I'm going to watch it. So I'm excited. I'm very curious to know your thoughts down below. What you all thought of this OVA. But this was wonderful. I really enjoyed it. And I'm excited now for the second one. So I'm curious to know your thoughts down below. But in the meantime, I hope you all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe. Take care. And yeah, I'll be back very soon with more Moriarty the Patriot. Bye.